ended up moving the black costume off. The black costume they wanted to keep. I did a design called Venom. We didn't have the name at the time, I just created the look of them. And then I gave the look, they got it approved up above. David Mcfarlane, the writer, then said, hey, I'm gonna make it Eddie Brock. Okay, cool, whatever. I didn't know it was a human, and we kept him. And then Venom became this guy that was like, every time he came back, like a couple of these, that we got more and more mail, and people were like digging this new character. It's like, oh, cool. And I thought that we needed like another big villain in Marvel, because all the big villains, Magneto and Doc Ock and Doctor Doom, they were all from the 60s. And it's like, when is there gonna be sort of a new modern villain? So he ends up being this big giant happy accident for no other reason other than I didn't want to draw a black costume. And I keep wondering if like somebody else with less confidence and less sort of like bravado than me walked in, and somebody said, hey, you get to draw Amazing Spider-Man, but you got to just draw. I think 99% of people would have said, yes, sir, right? It's not the average person who will go, well, yeah, I'll take over the #1 book you have here, except here's my rules and conditions, right? I just wanted to draw Spider-Man. It was that simple, and we got there. So what else we got? Eventually, they gave me my own Spider-Man book. There were 3 Spider-Men at that time. They created a 4th one. Remember Spider-Man, the one where he's in the crouch? Sets a record. It's a record that still stands today, not in raw sales, but the most sales ever by a single creator, because I wrote, penciled, and inked that book. That record still stands. ... not to brag, just a fact, the record outside of corporate comic books is Spawn. Right? I own that. I own the corporate record and the non-corporate record for single creator for sales of a book on either side of the equation. So thank you, people, for supporting me to that level, because it allows me to then do many more things. But in that book called Spider-Man, where I was writing, this is the page that made me leave Marvel comic books, right? And it wasn't. I've said people before, there was no one incident that made me leave Marvel. It was just a death by 1,000 cuts. Remember I showed you that they took my Hulk and made me redraw the Hulk, right? And they were doing that all the time. They were always redrawn, and it's like, why don't you just give me the comments in advance when I'm giving you rough, and they're like, well, I don't know if this is gonna pass, I don't know about this, and at some point they just exhausted me. My wife and I were going to have our first child, and we'd never been parents, so we didn't know what to expect. And I went, it's time to take a break anyways. I'm tired. I'm getting wore out. So this is the page, and the reason is because here's what I drew. Go to the next one. That's what I drew. That's the original artwork right there. I put the sword in the eye. I still have that page as a reminder of the day I quit. That's the page. And they said, you can't put a sword in somebody's eye. You have to pull it out. Now remember, if any of you old people, if you remember the death of Elektra, remember how that cover looked? She got stabbed in the gut, and she was getting stabbed, right? I'm like, what are you talking about? You can't stab characters. Of course you can. And they're like, no. I'm like, well, yeah, but you can't have rear exit wounds, which basically meant, if you guys remember that cover, the sword was coming out the back, and it was doing that, right? So you could stab somebody, just so you know, your gentle children, as long as you hide the stab coming out like this, because they'll never know what that is. That's okay, right? And then I'm going, so as long as I don't break the cloth, yeah, so I can stab them in the eye. You can't stab them in the eye. Well, why? But so you can get stabbed in the chest. Yeah, you can stab them in the chest. I mean, this is a crazy conversation I was having. I can stab them in the chest, yeah, in the arm, yeah, in the leg, yeah, in the nuts, yeah. No, okay, what about the eye? No. So I can stab them in the cheek, yeah, in the mouth. No, not in the mouth either, because most people have been to the dentist, so they know how much pain that is. So you can't stab people. Their rule was you can't stab people in the eye or the mouth. And I was over it. So I go, I'm gonna give you some drawings of a non-stabbing sword. I'll give you a blood splatter. If you go back to it, there's a panel with the blood splatter. And I go, you guys basically put it together any way you want. I quit. I am done. I'm gone. I'm out of here. And that was sort of the last I ever did of Marvel comic books. So, and so very quickly, we ended up starting another company, a band of us. As you can see here, these are my brothers here for Image Comic Books. We started Image Comics, right? And I haven't looked back. I haven't drawn, just so you know, I haven't drawn since that day. I haven't drawn one page for a competitor that doesn't include Spawn, of which I get 50% of the proceeds, right? But just a page for sake of drawing a page. You know how many times I've been offered to draw a Venom cover? Hundreds of times. Won't do it. Not as the president of Image Comics. I'm not gonna sit there and try and hire people and say, come and work for us at Image while I'm doing a cover for Marvel. I can't do it. I can't, my good conscience won't allow me to do it. I don't think it's like good business. Anyway, so we started Image, keep going. We started Image, we had to come up with our character, and there's my boy, right? This drawing on the left, remember that page that you guys saw with the blue Spawn? That was the cover for it. That was my 16-year-old cover. The thing that's interesting about this cover is that my signature, kind of, sort of, even at 16, is the one that I ended up using years later. And you can see there's a skull in the middle of the letter A that we ended up keeping years later. So not only did he look the same, we also kind of kept some of the elements of my signature and or the logo. We came out of the gate. Here's some of the early signings that we did. Keep going. And you just keep going, you put your head down, next thing you know you're at 100, you're at 200, you're at 250, you're at 300, you're at 301, a record setter. I just sent off the plot. There's a picture of us setting the Guinness Book of World Record for the longest running creator-owned book in the history of mankind. And then if you take away that record, 301, I've done 64 more issues, which is more than 99% of the people who've worked at Image over the last 30 years. So, and here I had on the back of my book how long it took. That young little baby in the corner is our first daughter, Cyan. And that's how long it took, right? It took that young baby growing up and becoming a medical doctor to get to 300 issues. So people think that I did it overnight and I got lucky. I spent decades. That was decades of my life to get there. And, oh, by the way, there's a character in the book called Cyan. Besides Wanda, there's a character called Cyan, right? That was Wanda's baby, right? That he comes back and goes, oh my God, she's got a child. I could never give her a child. That was Cyan. That's the name of our daughter. And so later on, my wife and I had 2 more kids, and as they get older and they get sort of their brains start to formulate, they're going, how come we're not in the comic book, Dad? And so they were starting to beat me. I've got 2 of them, Jake and Kate, and they started beating me. And so I was like, oh man, how are we gonna do this? And then I just went, there's an easy answer. Wanda has twins, right? So there's the twins up at the top left. Their names are Jake and Kate. Whew, dodge a bullet really quickly. So there's Kate right here holding up a bottle of wine. There's Jake with his black suit there with his lovely new bride that's there. And there's the 2 of them. Oh, by the way, just to go a little personal, Jake, who works for me, we play on the same baseball team. Baseball! I keep thinking I'm gonna give you guys my schedule because I play here in the Valley, in the LA area, right? And it's everybody on the team's about between 30 and 35. My son is like the young guy on the team. He's in his 20s, and then I'm like old man Winter. I'm like old Logan, right? I'm like way over there, but shit, I can still go, right? So like the other guys are keep themselves in shape, and I still play, and I keep thinking like, here, I'm gonna post the schedule. You come out, I'll give you a signature at the end of the day. You watch baseball, I'll give you a signature. I might do it, but a couple weeks ago, we won the championship. Our team won the championship. So again, and you get to win a championship with your son. That's cool. It's kind of cool. The only downside, I was a center fielder my whole life. Played college baseball, right? I played at a high level in college, and I was a center fielder. And now he's the center fielder, and it pisses me off. Because he's good. I don't think he's that good. He's not better than Dad, right? But somehow the coach thinks he is, right? So darn it, I coached him up too good. Here's our happy family. The 3, Cyan, Jake, Kate, Wanda. All of them have characters. The only one who doesn't is Todd, although I have to tell you, essentially Spawn is me. right? Whenever I get into a pinch, I just go, well, yeah, what would I have said, right? Oh, yeah, what would I do, right? So he's kind of angry at times. I can do it. And so they always say, stick to what you know. I know myself, so it's easy to write Spawn. Because I just sort of go, okay, if I had superpowers, what would I do? Yeah, I'd rip that guy's head off for sure. What are you talking about? So, what else we got? Yeah, okay, and before we go, here's one of the great things about being in this industry. I get to commingle. Tomorrow, if you guys have a chance, I'm going to be up on stage with Jim Lee at 3 o'clock in this, I'm pretty sure in the same room. Downstairs in 100, right after the DC panel, Jim Lee and I are going to be up on stage. We haven't been on stage for, man, I don't know, 15 years? I don't know. It's been a long time. So it's going to be fun. I get the great pleasure of not only knowing a lot of great talent, but I also get to sort of hang out with them. And a bunch of them I get to call friends, right? And so that's sort of the joy of being in an industry where you get to bounce in and out of it. One of the great people who, to me, was like the Pope that we looked up to was Stan Lee. And I said before, nobody has disputed it. I was up on stage, I think, with Stan Lee more than any other human being. I had the great pleasure to be with him both private and publicly in his last 10, 15 years. Got to know the man like intimately well. And the only regret I have with my time with Stan is that picture on the right. At the end of every panel that we would do together, I would do a selfie. And I go, come on, Stan, let's do a selfie. Let me tell you, to this day, Stan never knew what a selfie was, right? I have some, like, I should show you the selfie pictures, right? He's like, what? Like, he never knew what he was doing. He's like, so he didn't, I got, like, that's a good picture. The selfie picture is horrible, right? But that time where we had the group there, and then we go, hey, let's take a picture and walk off. This is the last time Stan Lee is ever on stage in public in his life. That moment right there, right? And if we knew it, if I knew that, we would have given that man a grand send-off. And we didn't, right? You never, which is weird because he was 93, and it's like, it's not like he's 50, he's 93. But he acted like a young man. Not that day though. It was the first time that I ever got a sense that he was getting old. And he passed away maybe 6 months after that or something. But that I look at that and I go, man, I just wish we had the one chance. Can you imagine if all of us here and Stan was here and we knew this was going to be the last time we ever see that man? What kind of ovation we would give him for everything that he delivered to us, right? So all we have is just the moment, right? That's it. Never to be up on the stage again. But like I said, we all get our time. We all had our luck. Let me tell you before we go here. The one thing that Stan would say to me over and over in private, a lot of times before and or after being up on stage, like I am right now, is he would sit there and he would go, Todd, we're the luckiest guys, right? We get to do what we want. We get to have fun what we want. And we have all these great people come and say all these kind things. They like us, and we get to do what we want. We're the luckiest guys on the world, right? And so, as much as people got out of Stan Lee, I can promise you, Stan Lee got the same out of you, right? There's two loves in Stan Lee's life. His wife, Joni, who passed away, I think it was 2 weeks before their 70th anniversary. 70 years of marriage. Think about the math on that. You have to get married at 20. You both have to not get sick for 70 years. Nobody can die of cancer. Nobody can get pneumonia, nothing. Nobody can get in a car accident and get killed. Nobody can get hit by a bus. And you have to still love each other. Because we have a divorce rate of 50% in this country. All those factors have to go, and you both have to live into your 90s. And they almost made it to 70. It is a staggering number. It is a staggering number. And once he lost Joni, who was the love of his life, he had one other love, going to the shows. And so he relished and he was just joyful of going to the show, and I never once saw him take that for granted. And when I'm around good people like him, and like I said, all the way back to George Perez, I try to emulate that. My wife, who's sitting here, is grateful to the life that we've been afforded by some of these lucky breaks, and we never try to take it for granted for one day, right? Which is why when we can, we try to give back. We try to give to charity. We do a lot of stuff behind people's back that people don't know. Because why not? Well, again, the whole question, when's enough enough? We've got enough. We've had plenty of it. And we've had it. And the people that we have to thank for that, some of you are sitting right in front of me, right? If not for you, I don't have my career. I don't have my career, right? So thank you from the bottom of our heart. My wife and I will make sure that we cherish that. And if you guys have gotten anything out of what we've done, then I promise you the reward has been way, way more on our side, because we've been able to live a good life and feed and provide for our families. They've grown up to be smart people, and I don't know. It's like I said, I wish my life on everybody, which is why I'm always trying to say, if you've got an idea, if you've got a story, if you've got something that you've got a passion for, try it out. Just try it out once, please. Just try it out once. The worst that can happen is it doesn't work out, and you are no worse off than where you are right now. But what if it works? What if it works? It's a good life. Ask people who've made it in the music business that was their dream, or in TV, or movies, or video games, or comic book. Anybody who got a lucky break, ask them what would have happened. Would they have rather been shy, or take the shot? Take the shot. Take the shot. Because without the shot, you never know that you might have the next big thing that's going to entertain people. And you get to have a good life for your family. So if I could put pixie dust on all of you and give it to you, I would. All I can do is just encourage you. If you've got the mindset and the attitude, just go, try it once, and if you fail, it's not a fail. I think I get more frustrated at people who don't try than those who have tried and it didn't work out. At least they took the shot, right? So, especially for some of you young people here, go. Go. You're young enough that if it doesn't work, you can go back to whatever it was you were doing the week before. So, with that, I hope you guys all enjoyed the convention. Jim and I are going to be here at 3 o'clock. We'll be doing a signing. I'm going to do some other stuff. Look for some details of me being at some of the stores in the area here, that we can raise even more money for the charity. And I wish all of you the best of luck. Thanks for showing up.